Welcome, everybody, to the Napa Valley Center for Spiritual Living service. It's a good day to be in the neighborhood, even if you're not in the neighborhood. Wherever you are, we welcome you from here in the valley and beyond. What we're wanting to do for you is to give you a sense as if you're in the room with us, and including the music and the prayers and the meditation, everything. So thank you for joining us today, and thank you for being with us throughout this service. We appreciate you, and it's a way of bringing in community from all around the world. So as usual, we like to begin with some community songs, and Diego Garcia is here to bring you into the room.
Lift our hearts into the heavens, lift our hearts here on earth, lift our hearts into the heavens, lift our hearts here on earth, heaven on earth, heaven on earth, lift our hearts into the heavens, lift our hearts here on earth, lift our hearts into the heavens, lift our hearts here on earth, heaven on earth, lift our hearts into the heavens, lift our hearts here on earth, lift our hearts into the heavens, lift our hearts here on earth, heaven on love, 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 love. There's nothing you can do that can't be done. Nothing you can sing that can't be sung. Nothing you can say, but you can learn how to play the game. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. And love is all you need. One more time. Everybody sing it with me. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need.
It is so good to be present, and I know wherever you are, God is, and thank you, Diego, for bringing us into this place, because we know love is all we need, wherever you are. We have a skeleton crew here. Diego, all the way from San Francisco, is here. Yay! Kristen's here for prayer, meditation, and affirmation, and we have Alex back for technical support. Thank you all for being here today. And the rest of the room is empty as empty can be. But that's great. We know that you are part of this. This is usually in the service we stand up and embrace each other. And so we give you a virtual embrace. We send love out to you that is the healing force on this planet. And we know this to be the truth as always. A couple of announcements are that we do have some things going online every day at noon during the week. I'm doing a brief message and meditation. Wednesday, we're having our normal meditation at 6:30. And then we're trying something new, healthy, happy, healing happy hour from 5 to 6. And normally when, clubs might be open from 5 to 6 on Tuesdays and Fridays. And it's on Zoom. And if you go on our website, you'll find the link for it. I'm not putting that on Facebook because it's a private Zoom situation, but if you have the link, you could join us. We had 7 people on Friday, and anybody's allowed to be a part of that. So we'd like to begin, as we always do with our service. We don't have it in front of you, but I think you know it by now, our vision and mission statement. So we repeat together. We are an inclusive community for spiritual growth and compassionate action. And our mission, we are co-creating a world that works for everyone by living intentionally, loving unconditionally, and seeing God in all people and all faiths. Perhaps this affirmation even means more to us in these days of challenges that we have. So I'm glad that you've joined us today online, and I'm happy that we are continuing our vision and mission even in a bigger way right now. So thank you for joining us. And now we'll begin the sacred part of our service with prayer and meditation.
Still my mind, be at peace in my awakening. I release with my heart, free my soul in my awakening. I am whole. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti.
Good morning, everyone. And I invite you, wherever you are, to just close your eyes if you can. Take a deep breath. Settle in and become present in this now moment. Knowing right here and right now that there is only one. This one thing that we may call Spirit, we may call it God, we may call it Abba, we may call it Source. It does not matter what we call it, it is the one thing. And I know that this one thing is infinite and absolute and eternal in every way. I know this one thing is permeating and penetrating everyone, everywhere, every when, everything. It is the very building blocks of which we are made. And I know that this one thing is absolute health. It is peace. It is prosperity. It is abundance. It is love. It is connection. It is community. And it is safety and security. I know this one thing is the goodness and the fullness of life. And I know that because there is only this one thing going on, I know that each and every one of us on this planet is that individualized expression of the divine. We are each God's divine idea showing up on planet Earth. We are each spirit expressing. Our breath is the breath of God. Our lives are the lives of spirit. And knowing that each and every one of us is the health and prosperity and abundance and wholeness and peace and love and connection and community of spirits. I just invite us to go even deeper into a time of meditation and silence, allowing the sound of the singing bowl to move us deeper into this time. And taking another deep breath together, I just express my deep gratitude for this moment of heart connection among each and every one of us. And so it is.
And so it is.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so grateful to be able to join y'all in this new way. And I was thinking over the last few days, the topic today that Reverend Jay is going to be speaking about is nurturing as strength. And what a perfect topic for this time, because each of us, at least the majority of us, are staying home during this time, and we're really just going inward and figuring out what self-nurturing looks like and what self-nurturing is, and how to do that and how to show up in this kind of new world that we're birthing in, trying to figure out how to do that and how to navigate that. And what I know is that by taking this time and by embracing this moment to just be separated physically and yet so much more connected than we've ever been before, as far as our hearts and our minds and our spirits go, that this is strength. that this is strength, and taking this time to nurture ourselves and to heal humanity and heal the planet, that we are becoming stronger and stronger. And I know for myself, last night I actually watched 2 live concerts on Facebook Live, and by a couple of my friends, and I was laughing because that's the most social that I have been on a Saturday night in years. So it took just bringing it to my couch for me to get out there and see all of you and text back and forth while listening to my musician friends. So I have a poem that I would like to read. It's y'all may have seen it on Facebook. It's been going around. It's called "And the People Stayed Home," and it's by Kitty O'Mara. It says, "And the people stayed home and read books and listened and rested and exercised and made art and played games and learned new ways of being and were still and listened more deeply. Some meditated, some prayed, some danced, some met their shadows, and the people began to think differently. And the people healed, and in the absence of people living in ignorant, dangerous, mindless, and heartless ways, the earth began to heal. And when the danger passed and the people joined together again, they grieved their losses and made new choices and dreamed new images and created new ways to live and heal the earth fully as they had been healed." And so that is the vision that I hold for this time as we nurture ourselves in strength. I have an affirmation for everybody. You don't have your programs like usual, so I'm going to say it and then you can repeat it with me, and we'll do that 3 times. In this time of self-nurturing, I am strong. In this time of self-nurturing, I am strong. In this time of self-nurturing, I am strong.
I am strong.
And so it is.
And so it is. Hello, friends. Glad to be coming to you from Napa Valley, sharing this music and these messages into your home. Music has a way of capturing moments. And sometimes it's words that were laid down many, many years ago, tunes that have always existed. And I found this one song by Barry Ebert, which I think really sums up where we are right now, and I'd like to share it with you today. It's called "Stand in the Fire." Will you stand in the fire with me and help me hold my ground? If my courage fails and I start to turn me back around, will you stand in the fire with me and open your heart with mine? I've never been down in such darkness before. It feels bigger than me this time. I'm not asking you for answers for all of these questions or words to ease my mind. I just need somebody to listen sometimes, and I will pay you back in kind. Will you stand in the fire with me and tell me if you hear a sound after I call out for God, for some kind of sign? Won't you show me that you're still around? Will you stand in the fire with me and tell me that it's true? There's a sunrise out there somewhere where I'm gonna smile. There's hope for folks like me and you. I'm not asking you for answers for all of these questions, or words to ease my mind. Just need somebody who listens sometimes, and I will pay you back in kind. Will you stand in the fire with me? Will you stand in the fire with me? Will you stand in the fire with me?
Thank you, Diego. That was beautiful. And I think that's what requires us these days, is to be in the fire with each other. I mean, this is all new things what we're doing today. And I'll be honest, in preparing for today, I was at a loss for what to talk about because I didn't know what I could possibly say to comfort people, to tell them things were going to be okay. And then I remembered it's not about me anyway. And so I surrendered, and I'd allow Spirit to be through me as me. And I found my own comfort. I found my own willingness to see a greater picture that I know I can't see. As Michael Beckwith says, it's not an emergency, but it is merging so that we can see. Emerging see, we will see it. But it's hidden right now. And Dr. Ernest Holmes, our founder, said the universal mind contains all knowledge. It is the potential ultimate of all things. To it, all things are possible. So we remember this clarity of who we are in this time. And I reach out to all of you at this time, knowing that we have our challenges, that we have our times of loneliness and aloneness. And then I also know, as I've talked to you, the practitioners, I reached out to many of you this week just to check on you. And what we found is that you know intuitively what supports you, the spiritual tool. Sometimes we forget it. Sometimes we get bogged into worry and fear and not knowing. But the truth is, we know what to do, that we were made for this. And even we have learned the ways to adjust, the ways to be. The Spirit that's within us, that's always there. And so we know the truth of our life, and we know that we can find ways to connect with Spirit, connect with each other, and that we can find a way to not only survive, but thrive. And so I appreciate all of you, who you are, and know that we are available on email, on Facebook, to know a greater connection in any way we can offer you a connection. I know for myself, I've, now that we're in, just on a lighter note, day 10 of self-quarantine, with day 2 of shelter in place. Diego's been in shelter in place longer than we have. But, my one rebellion is I'm not going to shave. So the whole time we're not going to shave. So you're not going to see much now on this, but it's going to start getting bigger and thicker. And so it's just my own rebellion. I don't know what else I can do just to say, I don't like this, but it's just a way of taking things lightly, too. I know I heard today that things are going to get worse because as soon as the Jehovah's Witnesses figure out we're all home, then they're going to be knocking on our door. And I know that's a joke. We don't really have any judgment about Jehovah's Witnesses because we are open to all faiths, the truth in all faiths. And what's interesting is when Jehovah's Witness and people from LDS, from Church of Latter-day Saints come, they always think I'm this really nice person and I might convert to their religion, but they don't realize that we're just open to all faiths, so I'm willing to listen to what they have to say. We know that all faiths have truth. And we know that this situation that we're experiencing as a pandemic has spirit in it too. There's truth in it. We need to find the good in it, and we already found some good in it. And I think above all, we find it by not being caught in worry and fear. So also on a lighter note, on Facebook, I created a post that asked people to put songs that were in jest for not a quarantine list, but a quarantune list. And I wanted to share some with you. If you've seen it on Facebook, I'm sure you've enjoyed it. I know I have, what people have shared. So they've suggested different songs that we should include on this list. The first was from Nirvana, called Stay Away. REM, It's the End of the World as We Know It, and I Feel Fine. Gloria Gaynor's I Will Survive. Joe Cocker's We Get By with Little Help from Our Friends. Three Dog Night, One is the Loneliest Number. MC Hammer, Can't Touch This. Solia B, who I don't know who that is, but her song Kiss Me Through the Phone. Not in person, but over the phone. Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer. I thought that was a good one. The spookiest one for me was thinking about the song by the Eagles, Hotel California. And if you remember, the lyrics say you may check in, but you may never leave. So that's a little scary there. Billy Idol, Dancing with Myself. There was a disco song in the 60s and 70s, Freak Out, or 70s I should say. Coldplay, Don't Panic. Celine Dion, All by Myself. That one's sad. Peggy Lee Fever. Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. My House, or Our House, a very fine house. I thought that was a good one. The Beatles, Let It Be. Men at Work, Who Can It Be Now? That's not a good one. Cyndi Lauper and Adam Lambert, A Mad World. A play on the song of My Sharona called My Corona. Not good either. The Police, Don't Stand So Close to Me. Toxic by Britney Spears. From a Distance, Bette Midler. Crazy, Patsy Cline. And the Beatles, Get Back. So all those are good. But then you also go into John Denver's Looking for Space, Gilbert O'Sullivan's Alone Again Naturally, and finally Stuck in the Middle with You. And then on a more spiritual note, don't worry, be happy, come together, even if it's virtual, by the Beatles. Don't stop believing in your own health, in your own life, and God's got the world in her hands. And finally, someone needs a prayer, and my prayer is your prayer too. And I think as we move into this time of not knowing, I would ask for your prayers for the center, for us, as we give you prayers. And so you pray for us, and we'll pray for you in this way. And we'll hold the consciousness of life being uplifted at this time and being something bigger and more profound in these ways, this life that we have. So thank you for being here today and joining us in all the wonderful ways we have, and just connecting, because we know there's no limit to spirit, that there is only God in every place that we are. So this week we're continuing on the idea of the divine feminine, and in particular this week we're talking about nurturing as all right, I lost my place here. I'll be back in a minute here. Nurturing as a strength. And so we know the greater good that's always here, that will always be, and continues to be the presence of life that we know it. And this idea of nurturing being the truth of who we are, and being the softer power that we get into. And we know that the only way we can really know a greater health in us is knowing the Spirit within us. What I know that love is bigger than anything we can ever imagine. And although we may be bound by this body that we have, subject somewhat to the forces of the world that may make our world smaller, we know that love itself is bigger than anything, and is that healing force that we can be in all ways. That there's a divine right order happening. There is a love happening in the world. And as we're asked to move into an inner action rather than an outer action, is a greater call for rebirth in this world. That it's our awareness of where things go and be that open us up to a greater truth of who we are and how we are. So what we know about this life that we talk about as nurturing, that we talk about as the divine feminine, that is showing us a new way. If you think of that song about the world that REM sings, the world is changing. It's not going to be the same way. There is a rebirth happening, a restructuring. But some things have to pass. Some things have to be let go of before we can open up to that. But as we look for reassurance now, as we look for a way to remember, as we look for a way forward, a path forward, the first thing we want to do is remember that there is a divine order happening. What I've noticed as I go out walking in the neighborhood and on trails in Napa, that nature seems unimpressed by the panic and worry that we go through. That it seems fine right where it is, that the spring equinox happened without us trying to put a stop to anything at all, that the planets continue to rotate around the sun and we continue spinning. And it is that divine order that is spirit itself, the very creative aspect of who we are, that continues. In Hinduism, they talk about the triple deity of the Brahma, who is the creator, Vishnu, who is the preserver, and Shiva, who is the destroyer. And so without this destruction that happens from Shiva, there can be no recreation that happens. But at the same time, Vishnu is the maintainer, so we have some normalcy in this, and the maintaining is his divine order that is always happening. There is credible evidence that this pandemic began with people who were doing things that were out of the natural order. And it is the world and the universe and spirit who seeks to put things back into order. So when we allow that to happen, then we know the truth. I love the story in the Old Testament about Abraham and how he made a covenant with God about his deeper relationship with him. And because of that, God would give him an inheritance of land and abundance and everything. But as soon as Abraham made this covenant that it was his two sons, Ishmael and Isaac, that fought over his inheritance, and Isaac connived a way for him to receive the blessing, even though he was the second-born, not the firstborn. So I just think of that story as we have this perfection in God, in the divine, and as soon as people get a hold of it, they start dividing it. So we need to put our faith back in God and restore the order that's within ourselves, restore the order in the world in every way we can. And we allow a newness to come through, a rebirth to come through of a new way of being. I remember when I was a teenager, 17, 18 years old, there was a place in Oklahoma near where I lived in Texas, and it was called the Wichita Mountains. And it was one of the first places where they reestablished open range buffaloes. And so you could be on a hillside and just watch the buffaloes come through the meadows there. And I began reading in indigenous writings and about the buffalo and the importance in spirituality. And they also, as I read, talk about that, they talked about the wind that was Great Spirit itself, that would always blow and remind us of the Spirit. And I noticed that in that area, the wind was always gently blowing, sometimes more forcefully than others, as it was an area where tornadoes came through frequently. But it was always this constancy that was there. And it's that constancy that we can count on of the divine being in all places at all times within us and around us. And there's no place where it is not. It is the gentleness we can feel within us. It is the very divine feminine that recognizes the connection with all of life, rather than masculine that seeks to divide and find ways to win, to compete, when really we're looking for a way of cooperation, especially as the world goes forward. We cannot deny the oneness of all life at this time. Obviously on a biological level, but also on a neural network, energetic, conscious, spiritual level. We are all connected. There's no denying that. So we continue to know this and reestablish, remember this divine order that's always there, as we connect it within ourselves and let go of thinking that we are better or more equipped or more spiritual. I know this is definitely, this whole thing has brought me to my knees to allow me to surrender in a greater way to Spirit, in the way of the Spirit. Knowing the truth is as it is, and opens up in so many ways for us. The mystic Hildegard of Bingen said, everything that is in the heavens, on earth, and under the earth is penetrated with connectedness, penetrated with relatedness. Now we see the heaven not as out there, but in here, and so we know that it is all connected. The heaven we experience in here, which is divine and perfect and whole and complete, manifests itself in the outer world, and we are recreating this divine order, this divine truth, this divine oneness in everything that we are doing. And the second thing to remember at this time, as I mentioned before, that love is more powerful than anything, that even though we might feel bound by the restrictions of where we are and who we are at this time, there is no restrictions of limits of love itself. So in my practice of unconditional love that we talk about in our mission, vision, and mission statement, I seek to remove any barriers I have to love everybody, about judgments I might have other people, or beliefs I have about a culture or beliefs or whatever it is. But what's interesting now is that I have a different definition of this unconditional love, because there's nobody out there so much to mirror my consciousness back to me. I mean, right now I'm sitting in this empty room, and usually I would love to have people smiles, or even if they're sleeping, at least I know I need to move on with what I'm talking about. But there's nobody out here to reflect, and the conditions are all within. There is no out there. It's nice to have the out there to reflect things, but if there's no out there, the truth is there doesn't need to be, because it's all in here. I was reminded of Mother Teresa's that she was inspired by a poem she wrote on her wall that talked about love them anyway. It said that people are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered, selfish, and even cruel. You love them anyway. And that's usually the way I practice my unconditional love. But it's also, the way it ends is interesting, because it says, it was never about them anyway. It's between me and the divine. It's never about them anyway. It's always the love within us that we need to find. There is no in between. There is no out there. There is just this love that we can connect with in ourselves. And as we are in this self-quarantine, I know that we can still find ways to connect with other people. We can find this love within us, and we can reach out. Kristen was talking about the different musicians that are on there to participate in meditations and different things. Last night I was on a YouTube call with me and 2,000 of my other friends, with Michael Beckwith and other spiritual people, as part of the Association of Global New Thought that they're doing these new programs. So it's great to be part of that and feeling connected with people, because we can't physically wrap our arms around people. We connect people with the love we feel within, and we can imagine them and imagine their wholeness and their healing in whatever place they are. So we just open up to this truth of how we are. I love that continuing to read Mirabai Starr's book called Wild Mercy. And she talks about how it's natural for us to protect ourselves. And yet if we find our inner strength, our resilience within us, that's a greater strength we can have. Our strength is not from the outside, but it's from this nurturing we feel on the inside, that we have the strength we have. It's not about pushing back and protecting ourselves. I know boundaries are important at times when there is abusive or violent, or even if it's verbally abusive, that we set boundaries, but at the same time we establish within ourselves our own protection, our own abundance, our own fierce grace, if we want to call it, what Mirabai called wild mercy, and that we can find our resilience in just our breath that's there to take some deep breaths and feel our feistiness, our fieriness. I often talk about people that live a long life. They either live a really good life, really healthy life, they exercise a lot, they take care of themselves, or they're just stubborn as heck. Sometimes that stubbornness is really helpful in establishing our health to, this situation is not going to beat me. I know spirit in me, love in me is stronger than anything, and I know that I can trust spirit to be that health within me. There's the way of the masculine that is one that thinks that we have to do things alone, that's our strength, and that is a lie. That is an absolute lie, because we are stronger in community. Michael Bethwitz talks about community being the immunity we have that helps us raise our consciousness up. That community is our immunity. What I love about Mirabai Starr's work is she just talks about how, yes, there are times, many times, the voices of women and minorities have been suppressed, and the masculine voice that's come through sacred text as well as history has told it from this male perspective. And so sometimes we resist that, but the truth is that's not serving anybody to be this resistance, this defensiveness. That what we really crave is closeness, a connection that can be a determination to share. And I love her words when she gave an interview with Tammy Simone from Sounds True, and she said, what we really crave is closeness and connection, intimacy, a belonging to the human family as well as to Mother Earth itself. And it is this longing that is our key to wanting to be in community. She said that participating in the human condition can be bewildering. It's not always easy or cozy. Rather, it is humbling, downright humiliating at times when it's not flowing. It can seem so much simpler to ride solo, slaying our own dragon and singing ballads we wrote about ourselves. Collaboration can be tedious, and the prevailing masculine value system may have conditioned us to feel like we are giving our power away when you share it with others. So what? Give it away, she says, at the time of the singular sage bestowing their unique wisdom is over. To live in a desert for 40 years, to gain this wisdom before you can share it, or before everything is formulated perfectly, that time is over. And she goes on to say, it turns out the world is filled with special beings grappling our way through the anxiety of solitary conundrums and tasting the occasional reprieve of connection. When you realize this, your body lets out its breath and relaxes its curse. And you come from the cold, hold out your cup, and some other special being fills it with a sweet, milky tea spiced with fragrant herbs that you drink. to let yourself be nurtured by others and allow your gifts to be shown. Our way, she says, is the way of the feminine. It's to find out that everyone is good at, find out what everyone is good at, and praise them for what it is, and get them to teach it to one another. Maybe you know something about the hidden meanings of the Hebrew letters, or how to build a sustainable house from recycled tires, or a loving kindness meditation, or the one who knows an Islamic call to prayer, climb the minaret and call us to prayer. Be the one who knows how to sit quietly at the bedside of the dying. Show us how to bear witness to this transition. You are the one who knows how to wake us from the shadow of privilege. Please wake us up. It'll be chaotic, all this community building, but your cooperation will save the world. Besides, it will be fun. This has been really inspirational for me to read that this week, and thinking about it, we have this vision, the board and I, for something called Cultivating Community, where we're going to be gathering in small groups, and people will have the ability to teach them something that they know, whether it be a type of cooking, a gourmet cooking, a vegetarian meal, a vegan, an Italian meal, or it's learning how to bottle wine, or different skills they have, how to do a certain kind of painting or a kind of music, or walking in the forest with a forest bath, the Japanese tradition of that. Whatever that skill is, whatever they have, it is not about a solo person up here telling you everything that is supposed to be, because we all have the wisdom inside of us, and this is the way the Divine Feminine, not a solo thing, but a creative way that we open up to cultivating ourselves, giving our gifts, give it away, as she says, that nothing keeps us from opening up in this way. And just to allow you to show your gifts and be this powerful self, but in a way that is empowering others as well. We are not alone in this. And so finally today I want to talk about the way that we stay connected. The famous commercial that you've probably heard says for you to stay thirsty, and trying to get you to drink more beer, I guess. But in terms of spirit, I think it's important for us to stay thirsty, to be connected, to have this inner longing that we have. And maybe this time when we are short of having human connection, we can use some of this longing to channel into our meditation, our quiet time. I was walking the other day in our neighborhood up this hillside, and there was a big oak tree over to the side. It was on somebody's private land, but it had a rope coming down and had a tree swing right underneath it. It was probably a 20-foot swing, and part of my heart leaped at wanting to go up into their yard and sit on the swing, but I realized it was private property. But it reminded me of the way that Spirit has a seat waiting for us. That it's an open invitation. There's no judgment about it, but it just wants us to come have a seat. Just to be. No expectations, no anticipation, but it is this open invitation just to be. So let us take advantage of that invitation, that longing we have, and just sit down for times to turn off our product, our media and everything, and just be with Spirit and allow ourselves to feel this nurturing inside of us, this love inside of us. And we can share it with other people at this time. But it's a matter of longing. I was brought back to the poem by Orion Mountain Dreamer called The Call, when she said, "There's nowhere to go. What you are looking for is right here. Open the fist clench and wanting, and see what you already hold in your hand. There's no waiting for something to happen, no point in the future to get to. All you have ever longed for is here in this moment right now. You are wearing yourself out with all this searching. Come home and rest. How much longer can you live like this? Your hungry spirit is gaunt, your heart stumbles, all this trying, give it up. Let yourself be one of the God-mad, faithful only to the beauty you are, dancing even when the fear urges you to sit this one out." How beautiful just to be in this place of openness and receptivity and finding this divine order and this love and this deeper connection. David Alexander, a minister out of Atlanta, said the disease that we're talking about these days is separateness. The virus is just alerting us to this problem. So find this deeper connection. Find to go on with Araya Mountain Dreamer's word to answer the voice calling our name, that's calling us to wake up. She said that there is one word, and I would expand this to say that there is oneness that we are here to say with our whole being. And when we find it, we can give our life to it. We don't need to be tight-lipped or stingy. We can spend ourselves completely in this oneness, in this great love poem we are writing together. So spend our moments being in this oneness of this great love poem we are writing together. Let us go to pray. I know the truth that it is God, all God. We let go of any fear or worry we have or concerns about whatever may be in this moment and just focus on God. For that is all there is. And I know God is the strength, God is the love. It is the divine order that moves within us and around us. And we just allow that to be what we focus on. To give a moment to allow ourselves this nurturing, to be the strength, to be the health and the wholeness, the completeness. We don't have to push anything away. We can just be present with Spirit, mindful, and open to this love that's more powerful than anything. And it's that which we truly open to be. We know this to be the truth, and so it is.
We are held in the hands of grace, forever safe in your arms of love. Like a child receives protection from a mother's warm embrace, we are held in the hands of grace. You are held in the hands of grace, forever safe in the arms of love. Like a child receives protection from a mother's warm embrace, you are held in the hands of grace. We are held in the hands of grace, forever safe in the arms of love. Like a child receives protection from a mother's warm embrace, we are held in the hands of grace. We are held in the hands of grace.
Thank you, Diego. We are held in the hands of grace as always today. This is a time in our service we would do our sharing of abundance. Obviously, there's no one to pass the offering around to, but I do ask you to consider your giving to the Center for Spiritual Living. We continue to have expenses as well as continuing want to support our vision and mission. We know that some people are challenged at this time with their income, with things they may have less work at this time. But we also ask that you consider what your gift is to our center, and you can give either by sending a check to us in the mail or there on Facebook Live. There are buttons to push, or on our website there are buttons to push as well that you can give to us in that way. And we appreciate it. So as we just open up the life that we know, we just consider what that gift is. And we hold up that gift to our heart or in our hands, and we say our affirmation together. I forget what it is. We are divine love multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. So it is.
God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need.
It's funny, it's kind of like a song. You just need the first few notes to get you started, right? It's like a song. You need the first few parts to get you started. So I bet you have some of these same things. So this is also the time we acknowledge people who are for the first time, and we acknowledge people online who may be checking us out from all over the world. We, as well as our regular community members, we love you. We embrace you, and we lift our hands up, and we would appreciate you lifting up your hands to us as well. And we say, we bless you today, knowing that the peace and happiness you seek is also seeking you. We honor your inner radiance as you let your light shine in the world. We are grateful for your presence in our community, and so it is.
So, Reverend Jay, there's a question for you on YouTube chat from Sunny. She's asking about our green bags.
Yes.
And if we're still going to turn those in and where we should give those to.
We're still talking about that. We do want to do it. The food bank desperately actually needs the food.
Yes.
And it's going to be in the month of April. So I'd say the first Sunday in April, you can start bringing them here between the first and second Sundays in April, and just bring them up to the center. You can put them by the front door up here, and we'll pick them up. We'll make sure and get them to the food bank, because the food bank does need it. It's great that there are, just for those of you who don't know, the food bank is continuing to work through their regional distribution centers like the one on Yohomie, and what they're doing is they're just coming out to cars and giving boxes of food for the people in need. You don't have to fill out any forms or qualify for it in any way, as well as the Salvation Army is providing prepared meals for people if anybody needs those meals. But they do need more stock, the food bank does.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I figured
you.
we were still going to be doing that. So.
Yeah.
And also another way that you can donate is that blood banks need blood right now. So you can make an appointment for the Napa blood bank here and go donate blood if you are able.
The blood blank?
The blood blank. The blood. Say that one time slowly. All right. Anyways, we would also love to bless all of our children. And we just, you're at home Families are at home way more than they ever have been before, but we bless all of our families and our children as well.
And our grandchildren.
And our grandchildren and great-grandchildren, just all of the children all
Nieces
across
and
the globe.
nephews, yes.
Nieces and nephews. Every child on the planet is being blessed right now. So, we love you, we care about you, and we're here.
And so it is. Well, let's stand and sing Stand.
Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. We are making a new world now.
So as we go forth, I know the health and vitality of every person, and we know the truth within us, and that is what we live from and for, and so it is. Blessings, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We love you.